Hi, thank you for downloading Purple Yenta. My name is Nat Shear from Craft Compliance, and I want to help you get the most out of your download by walking you through how to install and configure the Splunk app for the best performance. This is not an application that you can just set up, leave the defaults, and have it run. It doesn't work like that. It needs configured for your environment. So let's get started. First, use the download link from your email to download the .zip file. Then, change the file extension on the file from .zip to .spl. SPL is the standard format for Splunk apps, but unfortunately, our email delivery tool simply didn't know what to do with it. So, we had to rename it as a .zip file. Second, open your Splunk interface and go to Apps, Manage Apps. Then, you should have a button for Install App from File. Find your .spl file that you downloaded and provide it to Splunk. If this is the first time you are uploading the app, then you can leave the Upgrade App box unchecked. If it's not the first time, then check the Upgrade App box. Hopefully everything installs correctly, and you can then see Yenta under your list of apps. Clicking on it there will bring you into the Yenta app and present you with the Yenta homepage. Third, Yenta relies on Nmap. So ensure that you have Nmap installed on the host running your Splunk interface. This is a third-party tool. Consult their documentation if you have any questions. Finally, Yenta is installed. Now it's time to configure it. Navigate to Settings, Advanced Search, and click on Search Macros. This should give you a list of all of the search macros defined in the application. If you don't see this list, double check that you are looking in the Yenta app. Then, go to the Yenta index macro. By default, logs generated by Yenta will go into the index defined here. So you either need to create the index specified and review Splunk's documentation if you need help with that, or redefine the macro to specify the existing index that you want these logs to go to. While we are in the macros, we also need to tell Yenta where to look for the Blue Team Security Defense Monitoring logs. This would be the index and source or source type as relevant for the logs. If you are using Splunk's Enterprise Security, for example, this should be index equals notables, but it can be anything that you want. Make it relevant for your Splunk environment. Next, let's add our scope. Either via the command line on your Splunk host or via the Lookup Editor app, find and edit the scope.csv lookup file. You should add whatever network scope you want Yenta to scan or test. Keep in mind, the more ranges you add, the longer some of those scans are going to take, and that might bog down your Splunk instance. To keep everything efficient, limit your ranges to a certain number, and you can always add additional lookup files as necessary and duplicate some of the alerts as necessary moving down the road. Then, still working with our lookups, look at the second lookup file that Yenta provides. This is correlations.csv. This lookup has two columns. The first column is the Yenta provided log message that will be generated when Yenta performs certain types of tests and scans. Don't change this column. Very important. Rather, look at the second column, Blue Team Message. This is where you should put in the expected log message that will or should be generated when Yenta runs its tests. You can see an example provided for port scanning. The Blue Team message doesn't have to match your entire expected log, but the exact phrase you put in must appear somewhere in the log message. Finally, let's go to alerts. You should see a number of alerts defined for the Yenta app. By default, though, only two alerts are enabled: Find Active Hosts and Find Open Ports. The former pings your defined scope to identify live hosts, while the latter then runs a port scan to identify open ports on those hosts that were identified. You should adjust these alerts to run when you would like. By default, they run once a week, but again, don't trust the defaults. Configure it, make it work for your environment. Then, review the disabled alerts and enable any that you find interesting or relevant to your environment. Some of them might, some of them might not. And that's it. You should be up and running. If you missed any of this, the homepage of the app also goes through these items step by step, or you can always go back and watch this video again. We hope you find Yenta to be a valuable asset, and if you have any questions or feedback, please let us know. Thank you.